Hey, Billy.
Hi, Chris.
We have been talking a lot about TV shows lately, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Um, wouldn't it be a great thing to talk about how things kind of evolved over the decades?
TV has evolved. I haven't.
And that's kind of interesting because I wonder if but here's a more philosophical question. Have you really? Or have you not really? Or maybe you have and just haven't noticed because you're just relating to the. I'm not. Wait a minute. I'm not Sigmund Freud. Maybe we should just record the podcast. How's that sound?
That sounds right to me.
Because guess
I
what,
was
Billy?
confused. I'm confused.
So am I. Hey, Dan,
Hey,
play the
Chris.
music. From Rochester, New York, the land of confused people all across the cities, we are Monkey Business, your one-stop shop for everything geeky, and anything can be geeky when you love it enough. Starring Tanya Metris, Billy DeTore, Dan Carmen, and I am your host. My name is Chris Frank. Now in stunning 1080p.
Ooh, you're so clear and well-defined.
You know what? It's funny because I've actually been noticing I have my glasses updated recently. I got my new pair, and so now it's great to see the world clearly again. And that will, this will be like an 18-month cycle where I will start to adjust and get used to this, and then my eyes will adjust, and then I will need to do a new prescription 2 years later. So it's kind of that vicious cycle. But
You
Isn't it
can
weird how
see
it works? You get
clearly now.
yeah.
The rain is gone.
there it is. So, but So yeah, like I was mentioning to Billy, we want to talk about TV shows today, and how they have evolved from Leave It to Beaver to Family Matters to I don't even know what family oriented sitcoms there are these days, and I think that might be a very telling kind of.
Are there any these
I
days?
don't know.
Well,
That's the thing.
I
Well,
actually I have a thought about when we'll save this for
Hmm.
a very popular family sitcom that it left the airwaves a couple years ago, but still probably one of the defining sitcoms of the 2000s.
Hmm.
And it was supposedly a family sitcom, but I tend to disagree.
Which one would that be again?
2.5 Men.
Oh wow, yeah, it's definitely yeah.
there's different kinds of families that are defined in sitcoms, I think.
Right. But then you
They,
also have the whole Charlie Sheen being Charlie Sheen.
Well,
hmm
that plus, I mean, a lot of people thought it was a family sitcom, and I guess I'm already starting this conversation, and that like families would watch it, but that show had more dirty jokes per minute than almost anything I can think of.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's actually a change in television in general, I think.
Right. I mean, you would not see Two and a Half Men on CBS in the 60s.
No, or
No.
70s
no.
or even 80s.
So we'll talk a little bit more about that after the break in the long segment today. And but before that, how are you guys doing? How have you been this week?
I've been
Uh,
doing okay,
Yeah, all things considered.
all things considered.
Mm.
And I've been hanging out, not doing much of anything, going for walks and,
Uh-huh. Now
you
you have
know,
not returned to the record archive yet,
no, I haven't yet.
but you've been doing writing for them
Yeah,
still.
I do that, and that's a lot of fun. Just to give myself a little plug,
Right.
if you go to recordarchive.com, there's a blog section. I write the blog, and
Hmm.
it can be anywhere depending on how wordy I get, and I tend to get wordy. Uh, it can be anywhere from a couple paragraphs to I need a second internet to finish up this thought. And this week's I thought was pretty good. I think it was a pretty funny column and kind of interesting. And so go to recordarchive.com and click the blog if you get a
It's the place to
chance.
go.
Yeah.
The record
So
archive is the
I do
place.
that. Yeah, I still remember Dick Storms in the big record costume.
Yep.
Yeah.
They stuck with us here. We
Yeah.
still talk about them now.
Is he still with us? Is he?
Yes, he is.
Okay, good.
Yes, he is.
He is definitely a character.
Yes, he is. He's a good guy.
How about you, Daniel-san?
I'm doing okay. Just working as usual and getting ready for the next stage of stuff happening with my life with radiation on Monday. So
Yeah, no, that's the big news. If you've been following
Mhm.
FC3 at all on our Facebook, and
I don't think it's been on Facebook, our Facebook at all. We
oh, it
haven't
hasn't.
talked
No,
about
it
this.
hasn't been out in
We
our.
haven't talked about this at all. It's not on my personal Facebook, but
I'm so used to talking about it now that it's just I keep forgetting who knows and who doesn't. So I didn't want to like just throw it out
Blurt
there.
it
Just
out there.
yeah, didn't
yeah,
want to blurt it out there. Oh, there's
yeah.
Tanya. Hi, Tanya.
Hi.
We
But
started without you, Tanya.
That's okay. My tummy's off. So.
Yeah.
but yeah, you're kind of going through a thing there, big man.
Yep, got a cancer, rectal cancer here, and
Hmm.
starting radiation on Monday, so it'll be fun. So by the time this airs, I've been going through it for a couple days and
Well,
see what happened.
we're all here for you.
So
Hmm.
is it every day?
Every day, well, every weekday for 5 to 6 weeks.
Oh
And
wow.
then after that, they check things again, see how everything's going, if that's
Hmm.
enough, or they need more, and then potentially surgery to get out what's left of it, and then recovery after that, and possibly more chemo. And so just take it each step at a time and see, where everything is and everything. So
Well, as daunting as it sounds, the doctors have been positive, and most of the results you've shared with me at least sounds like for a terrible situation, you're doing well
yeah.
with it. There's certain factors that are in your favor here.
Yeah, I mean the cancer is localized to the one area there. They
Hmm.
checked. They didn't see it anywhere else.
Okay.
And they did an MRI, and there's sensitive parts down there in that another region there that you don't want things around, and it
Right.
didn't appear to be in those sensitive areas.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as having it, it's not. It's the doctor called, it's a perfect situation. Besides the fact that it's cancer, but it's the fact that it's should be operable and things like that.
Hmm.
But that's what but the chemo is for. So I'm getting radiation and chemo. And the chemo is to help. They're supposed to work together, so it's more effective. But the chemos help to get look for the rest of your body to see, make sure there's no other stray cancer cells roaming around free, kind of thing. That's what the chemo is for. But the radiation is targeted to that
Oh, okay.
specific area.
Hmm.
And they do it slowly because they want your body to be able to, as they kill off the cancer cells, kind of rebuild regular cells in its place, so you don't need like a big gap there, kind of thing. So yeah, so I mean, it's as far as having it can be, it sounds like it. I'm guessing in okay shape. So only time will tell, of course. But
And is that why you did your last like kind of marathon running yesterday?
I did, yeah. I mean, yesterday I ran, full marathon distance.
Hmm.
I don't know how, it's how it affects everybody is different. How the chemo and the radiation affects everyone is different.
Right.
So it could be just I might be a little bit more tired. It could be more, could be less. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows until it actually happens. So I just wanted to
Hmm.
make sure that I get in that last time there.
Uh-huh.
At least trying to go that distance anyways. And I'm still going to continue running and everything, but as much as but as long as I can. So
Right.
He
you
will
know,
find
yeah.
his way. He will go the distance. I'm sorry.
So
He might
Come
just
on.
be able to run around the neighborhood, but at least he's
but
gonna.
but
My Oh, I'm sorry. My takeaway from this, I went for like a 3 or 4 mile walk yesterday,
Hmm.
Mhm.
and my legs were sore from that. Meanwhile, Dan with cancer ran like 40
20
miles.
only 26 miles,
Only
but
Okay.
26.
26.2.
Yeah.
Or I
there you
think it
go.
was
Yeah.
26.8 or something on your.
So even
Yeah.
with cancer, Dan is in better shape than me, is my takeaway.
It was funny. So I was running through the park across the street, and I was during the last part of my run there, and I think the high school track was doing a run over there, a race over there, and I was
Uh-huh.
going through one path, and it ended up being against them, and I almost got run into because these kids were not moving for anybody.
Oh,
Even though I was wearing a
jeez.
bright orange vest, I had to jump out of the way of these kids because they were not moving.
Wow.
But I'm like, boy, okay, they're a little bit better shape than I am, even though I just ran 26 miles. But
You're like, move for the old guy. Nope, not moving for the
nope,
old guy.
they were not moving for me at all. They did not budge from their course. But
Wow.
it was in the woods, so I round a bend, so not as if I a lot of
Yeah. Poof.
visibility coming ahead of time. But anyway, so that's what I've been up to. Nothing much.
Wow.
How about you, Tanya? Let's see you top that story. Come on, let's go. Come on.
I can't top that story. No, I don't even know what the question was.
We're just right now. We're in the
How was
opening
your week?
spiel. Yeah,
How
how
was
was your
my
week
your
week?
week?
doing?
It was a short week because I had Monday off of last week.
Right.
So this having students 4 days of the week and then them not being here on Wednesdays, it's like a mid-week weekend for them. Because it seems like we're like, okay, we do Monday and Tuesday or whatever. This past week we had Monday off, so I did a Tuesday with students, Wednesday professional development, and then office hours. So students were able to jump on Zoom if they needed help with stuff. And then I was getting emails with students commenting on the whatever discussion thread that I had posted for them that they had to do. And then they're back on Thursday, Friday, and then we're back to a weekend. So I'm just like, this is like my new normal. And it's just very, very strange because I'm just like, give us the kids back on Wednesdays. Like, because I am having such a hard time staying awake during the day because I don't have as many kids during the day to keep me focused. And I do a lot of teaching from my desk because I need to kind of try to maintain the 6 feet distance. And a lot of them are pretty independent anyway. But I'm like, damn, I'm like, I have to get up and move. This is kind of like killing me in the bad sense that I'm not moving as much as I could possibly be. I'm moving more than I was from March to September when I was working from my basement, but it's better to be back and work. But I'm just like, we need the kids back, or we need more kids in the building because
I don't
it's a
get the
struggle.
Wednesday off kind of thing. I don't get that. I mean,
And for us, they can't clean the buildings on Wednesday because we're still in it.
Yeah.
So they can't do a deep clean that day. I don't get it either. And it seems that even my kid has more work to be done on a Wednesday because he's got certain things that has to get done before his Google Meets that start like 20 minutes for every single class starting at like 11 something for the rest of the day. He's got to do like a 20-minute meet for every single one of his classes on Wednesday. And it's just and he's got so much work that he's got to try to figure out how to do independently by a certain time anyway, and he prefers to be back in school. And like some of it, like I'll get a text message in the middle of the day from Riker on a Monday or a Thursday or even on a Wednesday. What time can I call you? Because he's trying to plan it out of what time is mom available for support when he's doing work. I'm like, well, I've got from 9:40 to 10:20. That's a planning period. And then it used to be 12 to 12:40, but now I have a student for Zoom during that time. But I'm like, send me an email. I'm like, and he's like, oh, okay, I could do that. So there's days where my own kid has sent me an email that with a math question or whatever that I could figure it out and kind of explain it to him in an email back. So, or I'm just like, or wait for the math stuff until I get home, buddy, because no one else in the house can do it. Tyler could, but between Randy and my mother-in-law, it's like no one else in the house can help him with math.
Right.
So, but it's
because
just
the way you do math has changed, right? I don't have kids, so but I see like the new math on Facebook sometimes.
and
It seems like it'd take longer to do the new math way than just, regular multiplication or.
right. They've gone to a whole new way of that the state and the states want the explanation of how you got there. And it's funny because Sean sent me a TikTok this morning in regards to somebody getting the correct answer but didn't show their work. It's an adult and they just went off. They're like, you mean to tell me that if I had showed my work but got the wrong answer, I'd get more points? And yes, that's actually true for the New York State exams. If you get the wrong answer, but you get an answer based on all the work that you did and all your work is right, you're going to get more points for that question than you would if you just come up with the right answer on your calculator and didn't do any explanation. It's because it's all about the process. And then the person goes off. So mean to tell me, if I built your house and it was all blah 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 blah, all whatever, you would still pay me? And he's like, no, I wouldn't pay you because it's wrong. Then give me the points for the right answer. So it was just like one of those type things. And I always show the students that there's multiple ways to do something, because we're in algebra, we're in consumer math, we're doing all that real life stuff. So I have them put their work down just so I know what numbers that they're using. So I had a student that got the wrong answer because they reversed something or whatever, but his math was correct for the numbers that he used. And his process was correct. He just somehow, like, because they were doing weekly pay or something. So I think they just didn't necessarily use the right piece rate numbers. So they calculated on what each person individually did, not the whole group. So like, okay, so there's the conceptual error, but his calculations were all correct based on the numbers he had. I didn't double penalize him. I penalized him once, but I didn't do it a second time, because even New York State says if the process and procedure is correct, you can give them credit even if they made like a conceptual error like once. So it's that type of thing. But I totally have digressed off of the thing. But yes, there is this like new way of teaching.
Apparently that was a digression alarm.
You're showing your work, Tanya. You get extra points for that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, and I don't know. It's like when they show like the regroupings and the things like that, where you see the whole new math where it's 357 times whatever, and you're showing the 300 times the 50 times the 7, whatever. I'm just picturing that Facebook thing, and then someone else has doing it the old school way, or like, yeah, it takes less time. So I don't know why people have gone to create that, except for to show students how things are grouped together. I don't know, like there's the 300s, there's the 50s, there's the 7s, to show the place values of stuff. I don't know. I don't teach the elementary math. I'm like, by the time you get to me, you're using a calculator. So let's not get held up on the calculations.
At this point, I'd like to recommend for anyone listening that they check out the old Abbott and Costello routine, where they prove that 7 times 13 equals 28.
Thank you for that, Billy. And in other news, and we'll jump to break right after this, I have a cat.
Yay.
Yeah, it is eventually going to be yours and not Juliana's.
I'm figuring.
Yes. I was mentioning that you have gone to the dark side, and then Dan and Billy actually said to the fuzzy side. And and I'm like, yeah. I go, yeah, allegedly it's Juliana's cat, but I have a feeling it's primarily going to be Chris's responsibility eventually.
Well, no, Josh has been good about, getting it, teaching us, because he's like the cat aficionado, right? So he's been teaching us and showing us, and he's been working with her already right off the bat. So it's good to have him in the house at the moment.
Eventually she'll teach you, so don't worry.
Yeah. No matter what he tries to teach him, he tries to teach her. Yeah. Remember, dogs have owners, cats have staff.
Right. Yeah, I'm familiar with the phrase.
Yes.
I haven't spent a lot of time with the fuzzball just yet, but I'm sure that as she
that'll happen.
Yeah, as she gets bigger, she'll start wandering the house more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a cat and a dog and the vacuum cleaner to prove it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you will.
And she's a fluffy one. She's not a short hair.
No, she's
a long-haired kitty.
She's a fuzzer.
Yeah, get her used to a brush quick.
Will do. I have that grooming mitt that I use on Juno. I'll just use it on Molly as well.
'Cause, like Socks loves being brushed. The other cats don't. The short-haired cats don't, but my long-haired cat does. Like she loves being brushed. And I got the steel comb.
Okay.
It digs right down deep to get the deep fur and stuff, and she loves that.
Okay. Good to
It's like
know.
starts
Yeah.
purring and Anakin, when we had our cats, Anakin loved to be brushed. Yoda, he's like, okay, but yeah.
Yeah.
They'd
I don't
also
know
bite it.
I don't know if we've gotten any purring from Molly just yet, but I know that she's
Oh, she
definitely
will.
like. But it was funny. I was telling you before we started recording. I'm sitting here at my desk and I'm putting around, and just doing my thing, and then all of a sudden there's this little gray mass just pops up onto my lap, and before I recognize that it's actually the kitten, she's climbing up my shirt, she's on my shoulder, she's on the back of the chair, she's like, okay, so that's a thing.
Making herself at home. Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
Kitten, no fear. Gotcha. Okay.
Oh yeah.
They like being up high, so they're gonna like. She's gonna like you a lot.
Oh, I know.
Keep her away from the International Space Station.
Oh, I know. My gosh, I'm gonna have to do. I'm going to put it in a different spot because she's probably if she finds a way up onto my desk, then she can go from the desk to the bookshelf, and then that's that. The space station's going to make an unscheduled reentry.
Yeah.
No, then, thank you for bringing it. I wouldn't even have thought of that until it probably happened.
Well, Dan reminded me about being up high, and then
Uh-huh.
and I was gonna say at Anne's house, she liked the crack of the couch where the blankets or whatever, and she would like kind of tuck herself like right into the edge of the couch and the cushions and things like that, or the chair. So if you go to sit down, make sure that there's no little fluffy thing like tucked into any of the little cracks and crevices of the couch.
Right. So I don't lob myself at the couch like I used to, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yes, because a 250-pound human is not going to be doing well for a 1.5-pound cat.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
And with your pillows and cushions, she'll get
She'll dig right in there.
yeah, she'll be camouflaged. So,
Okay.
because she is so little, so
Yeah.
you'll have to do a lot of scanning. So.
Well, for now, I'll be able to tell where the cat is because I'll be able to just follow the dog.
Yes.
Because Juno is so excited to have this little fuzzy, plaything to wander around the house with. Juno, she's been great. She's not aggressive towards the kitten, but the kitten is like, you are way too large and way too amped up right now. I'm not totally thrilled with you yet. So there's definitely a very strong imbalance in the relationship. But I'm so happy that Juno's not keen on turning Molly into a chew toy. So that's good.
Well, that's good. And
that'll work.
And when Athena met Molly at Anne's house, Athena just wanted to lick her. Athena wants to taste everything, but only because Athena loves everything. Not that she was going to chew or anything, but it just like, ooh, what do you have? Because it looked like a baby version of Sean's cat Fume.
Right.
So, but yeah, it just, I can just imagine Juno. And Juno was doing the zoomies through the house the other night. I was like,
she was wired for sound.
And just wait until she's chasing the cat through the house, and the cat will be able to slide underneath something like maybe your TV stand, and then Juno will come up short because she'll go, where'd the thing go? Where'd it go?
Yeah, bonk.
Yeah.
All right, my friends. So at this point, it is now time for us to take a quick break, and when we do, we're going to talk about, we're going to have a kind of a basic kind of low-end chat about the evolution of TV shows, which we've hinted at a couple of times. We've talked a little bit about this, that, and the other thing. We've kind of talked about it in other podcasts, but I want to kind of like just chat about how the usual formulaic TV series of the 50s and 60s has evolved into the usual formulaic series of the 20s, the 2000s and whatnot, the 20 teens. Is there a good way to describe? I mean, we used to have the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. Now we're back just calling them the teens.
Let's see. Then the aughts. Are we?
No.
Is it the tens?
The tens.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
but
no,
we're not
in the
10s
20s.
now. We're now 20s now.
We're
But remember, this is the year that we want to forget.
Yeah, we're back into the roaring 20s, and holy crap, are they roaring at us?
Yeah. I want to go to the boring 20s.
Yeah, seriously, I'm all about
well,
that.
Well, it is kind of a combination of the boring 20s. We're stuck in our houses.
We call it the tensions.
Yeah. I have some good news for after the break.
Okay, well,
Yay.
let's go to break so we can get the good news.
7 times 13 is not 28.
Yes, it is.
7 times 4 is 28.
Mr. Chandler, 7 times 13 is 28.
7 times 4 is 28. Did you ever go to school, stupid?
Yes, sir. And I come out the same way.
You claim that 7 goes into 28 13 times?
That's right.
Go ahead, prove it. Go ahead.
All right.
There's the board. Well, go ahead,
All right, Mr. Chandler, I'm going to prove it.
Go ahead.
Now, you got 7 salesmen.
That's right.
Okay, there's a 7.
Where is it?
Right there.
All right.
Now, you got 28 vacuums a week you got to sell.
That's right.
I'm going to divide. There's your 28 vacuums.
Now, wait, you claim that 7 goes into 28 13 times?
That's right.
Show me.
7 into 2. 7 will go into 2.
Certainly not.
So I got to take the 2 from there and put it down here. Right over there.
Put it down there.
Yeah, I'm going to use that after a while. That's a cute little 2.
Yeah.
Now, 7 to 8?
Once.
Now, I'm going to carry the 7 from here and put it under the 8. 7 from 8?
One.
1. A minute ago, I didn't use that little 2.
What are you going to do?
I got to use that 2 now. And I take it from there, and I got to put it right there. Now, 7 into 21?
3 times.
That's correct. 7 into 28, 13.
Oh, no, nothing of the kind. What kind of figures are these? Just a minute.
It's got to come out right.
We'll multiply this. Go ahead.
Multiply?
Put down 13.
Okay, 13.
That's right. And 7 salesmen, put that down.
7 salesmen.
Now, you claim that 7 times 13 amounts to what?
28.
Prove that.
7 times 3?
21.
7 times 1?
7.
7 and 1?
8.
And a 2. 28.
No, wait a minute. How do you figure, boy? You can't.
good.
No, you can't do
That's
that.
right.
No, nothing of the kind.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes. Tanya, what is your piece of trivia or your cool thing that you found out?
I saw. I'm hoping that this is actually like true. That the movie theaters are opening back up in New York State next week.
Ooh.
Yeah, outside of New York City, 25% capacity.
And right, and no more than 50 people in front of each screen.
Now, is it saying whether we'll have to actually wear masks while in the room?
Yes, masks until you're seated and eating. Masks and whatever, and that they're
eating in the movie theater. Oh,
popcorn
snacks, right?
and
Popcorn,
candy.
yeah, like as soon as you're seated, and then if you're eating, you can have your mask off. But if you're getting up, moving around, or whatever, and it said something about of course assigned seating. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head, and that separation between parties. So, but I'm just like, I was just saying on Friday, I'm like, and I was talking to my mom, I'm like, man, I miss going to the movies. I'm like, I could go to Erie, Pennsylvania, like a 3-hour trip to go to the movies, but I'm like, yeah, no.
I don't know if I'm ready yet.
I'm not.
Are we ready to bring back the big movies to the screen? Because they're not going to get the capacity in the
right, and
theaters.
they're still postponed until like now 2021.
Yeah. So what movies are they going to bring into the theaters?
I'm not sure, but I know
Maybe ones that were supposed to be out earlier this year and or failed, or like
Maybe.
Tenet, for instance.
Actually,
they
what
tried and it didn't quite work out, so maybe they'll try to bring some of these things back.
I clicked a link earlier this week, maybe last week. Either Regal or AMC or both are doing a thing where you can rent a whole theater for $99.
Oh,
And I went to the website and looked, and they have a list of about 40 movies you can choose from. It's like $99, and it's Hocus Pocus was one of the movies, strangely enough. So it was this week. I clicked it because I thought it was funny that Hocus Pocus was one of them. And a bunch of movies from the last 20 years or so, maybe a little bit older than that. A bunch of classics, and I wonder if I can find it quick. But it's probably those type of movies, the types that they've been showing at drive-ins. Your Back to the Futures and Goonies and Pretty Woman and stuff like that.
That'd be kind of neat to get the whole theater for $100, and if you got your family or people that you have been close with already, and you can just all go see it together type of thing.
Because for $100, I don't think a family can go to a movie. Now you can have the whole theater.
Yeah, that's hey, they got to try whatever they can these days, right?
Yeah.
Got to try to keep whatever business they can. And assuming it doesn't include concessions.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a little bit extra.
Yeah.
I mean, rent Regal movie theater, private screening.
And then it says, in addition to the Rockland and Orange counties, They're Allegheny, Broome, Cattaraugus, Chautauqua, Chemung, Cortland, Greene, Schuyler, Steuben, and Tioga are also not allowed to open yet.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Regal and
AMC.
AMC or Cinemark and AMC.
Cinemark.
Yeah, you can offer theater rentals for $99. And
I don't know if I'm ready to do that just yet.
And
It depends. Like I said, it depends.
I want to see Wonder Woman though.
Wasn't that pushed out?
Yeah, it's like next year sometime now.
Yeah.
Let me see. Everything's safe and clean. Make an AMC auditorium all yours.
Oh, let me go to my Cinemark app now.
Yeah.
And,
I want to see if I can find the list of movies.
Dan, here we are,
Select
wasting
a
away in
movie.
Tangentville.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, the movie
Looking
Two
for
Hearts.
my lost shaker of salt.
The
Salt.
Conjuring.
Where's the effing salt?
So,
The Conjuring 2, Hocus Pocus, How to Train Your Dragon, Jumanji: The Next Level, Jurassic Park, Monsters Inc., The New Mutants, Nightmare Before Christmas, Shrek, Sonic the Hedgehog, Tenet, and a few others are listed.
And tell them you heard it here first on
Yeah.
FC3 Monkey Business.
Da-da-da.
for absolutely no discount.
That's right. And we get no credit at
Yeah.
all. So, you know.
there's a
Keyword.
private gaming party also.
Ooh.
Host a big screen video game party for up to 20 guests. Play on the ultimate larger-than-life gaming screen with fast internet speeds, enormous movie quality images. $99 for 2 hours of play.
Yeah. $99 at amctheaters.com, keyword monkey, and it'll still be $99.
Oh, boy.
Well, he's not wrong. I mean,
That's right. Oh.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
don't
So
know.
what are we talking about here? TV shows?
Yeah.
uh-huh. Like here's let's do the jarring juxtaposition. You know, you have Leave It to Beaver as the quintessential family, we'll say sitcom for the most part because of the quote unquote hijinks that and that was the 50s and 60s, right? So that's what everybody
Happy
thinks about.
Days.
Yeah, Happy Days. And
Mhm.
you have in the 70s. That's the family comedy. And then in the 80s and 90s you had this jarring watershed of how the tenor has changed with Married with Children. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
But it was still a family, though. But it was still, a lot. I mean, what do those things have in common for a lot of them? It's,
Mhm.
mother, father, and a couple kids or more.
mhm.
I think The Simpsons.
Simpsons, yeah,
Oh God, The Simpsons. Yeah.
they've been around forever.
Yep. And now it's moved on to what we see now in the aforementioned naughties and teens of the new century, the naughties.
So, what are the current sitcoms? Because I tend
That's
not to watch regular
Great
TV.
question.
I know, like Big Bang Theory just ended, and Young Sheldon is on.
Mm-hmm.
But that might be the only sitcom I can really name.
Is
I
Young
don't-
Sheldon your Leave It to Beaver of the 20 teens?
Well, I just finished binge watch. Well, not just finished, but we binge watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's not a family sitcom, but it's a sitcom. So
It's your
that's your
comedic
workplace
procedural.
sitcom.
Yeah,
That's
it was
the
a comedic
workplace
procedural.
sitcom.
Yeah, exactly, like The Office before it,
Yeah.
and then since it's revolving around police, you can also trace it all the way back to like the Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah, and Barney Miller in the 70s.
Barney Miller, yeah, absolutely Barney Miller. Oh my God, absolutely Barney Miller. Now I can hear that bass line in my head.
Sitcoms of 2020. Let's see.
Uh-huh.
Where is it?
Now,
Let's
one
see.
thing that
Brooklyn
has
Nine-Nine.
changed with TV in general, I think, and this gets brought up every once in a while, I miss theme songs. You used to be able to sing the theme song to the most popular TV shows or hum them.
Yes.
There was instrumentals that were hits. Nowadays, Big Bang Theory might be one of the few sitcoms with a theme song, and I know that one because it's Bare Naked Ladies.
Right. Yeah, Ed recently brought Bare Naked Ladies out onto TikTok, right? So he's been doing little tales about stuff, and in one of his first ones, he was talking about how he came to actually write the theme song to Big Bang Theory. He didn't think anybody was taking him seriously. He'd actually suggested that he could do it, but then he didn't hear anything else. If I'm getting the story right
Mhm.
at this point, he didn't hear anything else. So he just kind of like went about his business. And then they called him up and they're like, yeah, so we just want to see how you're doing on the theme song. He's like, oh, wait, that's a thing. And he wrote it in like 20 minutes.
Yeah. And it's like 30 seconds on the show, and there's about a 90-second to 2-minute version that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I mean, back in the 70s, you used to be able to sing the Happy Days theme song and the Laverne and Shirley theme song, and
You mentioned Party Miller.
Rockford
That bass line
Files.
is in my head now.
Oh, absolutely, that's a great.
They stuck with you. It was a big part of the show.
Mhm.
Right.
Because it was also, in a lot of cases, the origin story. They could explain the premise of the show in about a minute, and that's what the show is about.
And then anybody could start
Yeah.
watching the show knowing what was
Yep.
going on, essentially, because there was really no such thing as a story arc.
Yeah.
Right?
That was it, because a lot of times, I guess they didn't make the show for syndication, but they knew that reruns were a possibility, so they wanted the audience to
Mhm.
be able to jump into any random episode at 11:30 on a Wednesday morning, while it was being rerun.
Right. Right.
Which is when I used to see all your old the reruns of MASH or Three's Company or whatever used to be, Different Strokes, which is another great theme song.
Mhm.
And the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. Might be right for you, might not be right for some.
What you talking about, Billy?
Yeah, exactly. A man is born, he's a man of means. Then along come two, they got nothing but their jeans. They got different strokes.
Oh my God. I haven't heard that song in so long, but I know all the words.
But there's the theme. There's your origin story.
Yeah. Or there was nothing really, telling. There was like, or the shows that had no lyrics to the songs, but they had that distinctive, like Sanford and Son.
Sanford and Son.
You hear exactly as soon as you hear it, you know what you're watching.
Yep.
The gentle opening to MASH.
Uh-huh.
So that's kind of a thing that really doesn't exist anymore, does it? Is it the theme song?
Not as much. Like I said, Big Bang Theory is the only one I can really think of. I mean, The Office had a theme song.
A lot of shows just kind of jump right into the action these days. I've noticed.
Or they just have like I'm watching Schitt's Creek right now, and they just have they show the title and there's just a few notes of something which you recognize, but it's just like 5 seconds of music type of thing. So it's not really a theme song; it's just sort of theme notes.
And Schitt's Creek is a funny show.
Oh my gosh, I'm on season 5 now.
Okay,
What service is that on?
It's on Netflix.
Okay. Because I've heard about it, but I've never watched it.
It won 11 Emmys this year. It swept all its categories this year.
The characters are just it's just fun. I mean, it took me a while. I've heard about it for a while, and okay, let me try watching it. And then I'm hooked.
Yeah, it takes a few episodes to sort of get the rhythm and the characters and to let them grow a little bit and let them grow on you.
It's Eugene Levy and Catherine McCormick.
Catherine O'Hara.
Catherine O'Hara.
And his son, Eugene Levy, and his son is doing Daniel Levy.
Okay. Daniel Levy created it, and he's brilliant in it.
Oh my gosh, they're all it's just unique, fun characters.
Well, they all come from they're all from the Second City.
Yeah.
And SCTV and
Chris Elliott from the Letterman family.
Okay. So there's some good genes in that.
There are very good genes, yeah.
When Tanya suggested the topic, and the first thing that popped into my mind when I was thinking about it was just the difference between the then and the now. And and then if you're thinking about TV like during Eisenhower and Kennedy, a lot of the TV was very not so fantastical, but a very, very strong ideal. Right? Like here's your golden age, and we're gonna do the Leave It to Beaver. We're gonna do, Gunsmoke, and we're gonna do the Rifleman, and here's our ideals of what we thought these particular eras should look like, and here's everything nice and neat. Here's the perfect thing. The hijinks are not too dramatic. The stuff that Beaver gets, the trouble that Beaver gets himself into is nothing compared to what Bart Simpson does these days, right? So, you have this kind of simple, gentle elegance, and that has transformed over the decades into we want to steer away from that fantastical and that ideal, and we want to look at the ridiculous. We want to look at the real. We want to look at the grit. Dragnet was very stoic and serious, but the bad guy was always caught, and people
and the good guys were always good.
The good guys were always good.
There wasn't an ambiguity like in The Shield or The Wire or
Chicago PD.
Yeah.
And now we look for that. Everything has to have that edge and that grit, and that you can't trust anything, because that's a reflection of our society in its own way. I mean, look at you have the reflection of the society that they wanted back then, and the reflection of the society that we have now. And I think that's probably the overall the backbone of my angle of this discussion for this afternoon.
And one other thing, and you mentioned it before, is the story arcs. I mean,
yeah.
If you compare, like I was watching the Batman 66 yesterday, and at no point is there an origin story for the Joker, or really any reference to how Batman and Robin know the Joker, the Penguin, or Catwoman. And even like in a season 2 episode, they don't reference something from season 1. It's just, every episode is its own individual self-contained story. And even like in Star Trek, the original series, they didn't, I don't think in general, reference any previous episode, where now even starting with Star Trek The Next Generation, there were sort of continuing story arcs and references to past episodes. Whereas back in the 50s and 60s and even 70s, there wasn't, every single story was self-contained.
Yeah. And there was never any callback to something that happened before.
Yeah.
Which was always weird to me, because if there was a particular episode that had some sort of serious consequence to one of the stars, like if one of the action things, they got shot, or one of the, they got, some sort of an injury, but then the next week they were up and around, they were fine, no reference to ever being wounded, never having any issues. You had this massive argument amidst the family, but they all worked it out, and that's fine. They never refer to it ever again. The key to that is what you were saying earlier about syndication. The writers and the producers and the people who made the money and crafted these shows and gave them the green light understood that, there was going to be a certain shuffle, like episodes 1, 2, 3 in syndication will be aired 3, 1, 2 or 2, 2, 1 sometimes, stuff like that. So having those story arcs was a bit of a challenge. You can see how, like for instance with Sci-Fi Channel, they struggle sometimes, because I know they want to show these shows in the proper order, but sometimes they just don't, and it makes it very confusing. But the story arc is a thing that it's people look for it now. They want it. It's more important to them now. Doctor Who fans have understood the value of the story arc. I mean, yes, there has always been the planet and time frame of the week, but there's always been something lacing underneath, even from the beginning of the Rebirth with Christopher Eccleston. There is some sort of an arc. Even when Stephen Moffat said, no, there will be no major arc this year, there was, he was lying through his teeth. But we look for that. Star Trek Discovery has been in my opinion, very successful with that. I mean, there's a lot of people who speak out against Discovery, but they're, in my opinion, wrong, and that's fine, because I'm right. Anyway, but you see these arcs, and they tie the whole thing together. So is having episodic better? Is it worse? Do we need an arc now? Is it just we were so used to it?
I think, and back to sitcoms, I just thought of maybe my favorite sitcom of last, God, I don't even know how long, but The Good Place. over the course of 4 years, it tells basically one story.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't want it any other way, but I'm glad. But you have to see every episode. I can't tell someone just start in season 2, episode 4, or whatever. No, I want you to watch from the beginning to see this whole arc, the whole 4-year journey of these characters. Whereas, back in the days of Happy Days, okay, there's Big Brother Chuck, and maybe he was only in 5 episodes, but that was like the biggest controversy of that show is where'd Chuck go? And if you missed the first season, you never saw Richie's brother Chuck again.
Yeah. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about that.
The Good Place is probably my favorite show of the last bunch of years. And to see the evolution of those characters is really important.
That's a thing. That's another point to the evolution of the personalities of the characters themselves. Because do you really ever see that in the older shows? Do you, or is it just that the actor is getting so used to playing that particular person that the performance changes subtly, but it's not really an actual evolution of the personality of the character being played?
I mean, Wally and Beaver never really changed.
No.
Over the course. I mean, they grew older. Beaver got less cute. But
awkward teenage years.
Yeah. But their sort of character, and they never sort of changed. They were always the same.
I've mentioned him in the past, but Dan and I have a fellow alumni, Herbie Pilato, who's written books, and he's been involved in the industry over the years. I was going to reach out to him recently, but then he had a series of Facebook posts where he was definitely very perturbed at how certain things have been handled, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to insult him by trying to argue with him at the moment, because we're so stressed out about arguing about things lately, right?
I follow him on Facebook, and he is one of the most positive human beings.
Yeah, so when he gets cranky about something, it's like, okay, I'm just going to back up now, because. But yeah, it's I did meet Herbie in person on a couple of occasions at various Aquinas events when he would be in town for them. And you're right, he is a hell of a guy, absolutely hell of a guy.
He's written books about the Bewitched and the Mary Tyler Moore Show, classic shows.
Yeah. And so I think it'd be interesting to see what he has to say about television these days. And I know that it's not a 100% positive opinion, on the evolution of things. And then that's where I worry, because I know that I actually like a lot of what's out there right now. I prefer what's out there to the classics. And that, I think, what makes some of our movie discussions so great is that, Billy, you've got a great love for the classics as well. I mean, when we did our whole Halloween week last year with the classics, with Frankenstein, Wolfman, Dracula, you had this wonderful, uplifting opinion of these movies and how fun they were and how interesting they were. And I kind of picked them apart, So it's like, because it's like this and that.
And it's funny. Last night, as we record this on Sunday, last night I watched a baseball game, and after that was over, Susan went up to bed, and I still wanted to watch some TV, and wound up watching the old Wolfman movie with Lon Chaney, because that's just what I felt like watching, and it just felt right to me. And so I do still have a love for those movies, and they can be a little slow or whatever, but also they're slow, but also much better paced because they're under 90 minutes long in general. That's another thing nowadays. Maybe because of how much you pay to go to a movie, you feel like you have to go for at least 2 hours.
Yeah, fair.
But I like a quick 90-minute movie. You figure the Marx Brothers Duck Soup is like 70 minutes long. And that's a classic. So sometimes you just need a quick blast of fun.
That's true. That is a valid point. And I don't know. I guess I keep circling back to the observation I made at the top of the discussion. How our culture has changed and our TV changed with it. Have these shows always supposed to be a reflection of what we are or what we want?
Some of both.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's like you said, we've evolved. Our people's sense of humor's changed, entertainment changed. What the cultural norms have changed.
Mm-hmm.
What's acceptable, what's not acceptable has changed.
And I was just looking, I'm like, because I was looking at how TV shows have changed over the past. And it used to be where we had to be in front of the TV at Friday night at 7:59 for the 8 o'clock show, because otherwise we would miss it.
True. And
nowadays, most of the time with on demand or Netflix or even the streaming services or even the internet, we can pretty much find everything and anything, unless you are a little exhausted and tired and things like that, and you click something that you're not supposed to click.
Oh, I see where this is going. Somebody's about to get thrown under that bus, and that somebody is me.
No, but it was like, it's all out there. No matter what somebody wants, it's hopefully readily accessible. Unless you're particularly looking for something and you just can't find it.
And that changes how we consume stuff too. I mean, that's we've talked about streaming services, and we've talked about availability and the dynamic, how it's starting to evolve from having to be in front of the TV at 8 o'clock to see your favorite show to, I've got an hour, let me go ahead and check this latest episode of such and such.
But you're right. Now I don't even wait for but I wait for whole seasons rather than just start watching a show at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night and then have to wait another week. I'll wait a whole season so I can watch the whole thing. At
like Star Trek Discovery,
leisure.
which I meant. Yeah, like Star Trek Discovery, I mentioned earlier. CBS All Access puts out one episode a week, which is great. It gives you that's something to look forward to. It gives them justification for keeping your subscription. There's a whole lot of business acumen to it. I understand that. But using Billy's point, I would almost be inclined to wait 10, 11, 12 weeks for how long that series is going to be. And then I can binge the whole damn thing in a weekend.
And that's what I did with The Boys season 2. I waited for all 8 episodes to be there.
That ending was wild.
Yes, it was.
Oh my word. I was like, what is going on here?
That's a crazy show.
I can honestly say I haven't seen a single episode of it.
Oh, it's dark and
fun.
Oh my god.
It really is interesting.
Oh my gosh, you never know what's going to happen.
So, I mean, it has the best of both worlds in regards to with the streaming service, you can wait until the whole series drops.
Right.
Or you could do weekly type things, because maybe you've only got an hour to watch a TV show or whatever, and that you can't binge it over a weekend, that type of thing. You don't necessarily. So it's kind of like designed to meet both sides of the spectrum in regards to this.
There's a point there to be had. There's definitely
you can
a point.
Consume it however you want to consume it. That's nice. You have a choice. It's a choice of a new generation.
Ooh.
Wait, wasn't that a Pepsi commercial?
That was, yes, a long time ago.
Okay.
All right, so Tanya, you did it. You grabbed my shirt collar and you threw me under the bus. So you get to tell the story, and then I'll tell you how you got it wrong.
Oh, okay. Now you're also coming from somebody that doesn't necessarily know all the movies and things like that. So, in a future podcast, we're going to be talking about all the variety of Mel Brooks movies.
Yes.
And all the ones that Tanya has not seen. Because we talked about that. They're like, how have you missed this? Oh, whatever. I can't believe that you haven't seen this. Oh, it's great. Blah, 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 blah. All that type of stuff. So I threw it out there the other night to Chris. I'm like, okay, so when are we going to start Tanya hasn't seen these movies and we've got to educate her on them. So we decided Friday night it was going to be Mel Brooks movies.
Yes.
And so he's like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I'm like, well,
the damn thing is, this woman has seen more Mel Brooks movies than she's realized. Because
I don't know.
I go, Spaceballs. Oh, I've seen that one. Okay, Robin Hood, Men in Tights. Oh, I've seen that one. Okay, Young Frankenstein. Oh, I've seen that one. I'm like, what? Right? So I'm going, and now here's the crime. that I'm finding out is that there are very few Mel Brooks movies on streaming services. This is bothering me right
Because
now.
we
I've got to
checked
tell you.
Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime. We checked
did.
all we went like all three.
HBO Max, I think we checked that one out too. And there are very few Mel Brooks movies out there right now that on the streaming services, and they, if there are, they all have the same one. And here I am. It's Friday night. I'm getting frustrated by the fact that I'm not seeing what I'm looking for. It's been a long week. It was a crazy week because I'm starting to transition at work to do various different things, and my job duties expanded for a little while, and now they're starting to go back to normal. So I'm a little frazzled. And my brain latches on to, oh, there's History of the World Part 1. No, it was Monty Python's Meaning of Life.
Now,
I don't know how I became so dyslexic when it came to titles, but I was convinced in my brain that was History of the World Part 1.
And to my defense, I really thought that was one of the Mel Brooks movies, and that okay, Mel Brooks, Monty Python, they might have combined at one time.
And in the opening sequence, there's this little vignette at the beginning of Meaning of Life, and it really felt like a Mel Brooks movie, right? With the way that it was being approached.
Was that the thing with the building?
Yes, the building being taken over as a pirate ship, and then all of a sudden I see a couple of Monty Python folks in the scene, and I'm like, oh, that'd be so cool if Mel Brooks, because they have a very similar twisted sense of humor.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see them working together. And then then all of a sudden, the Meaning of Life. I'm like, I'm in the wrong movie. How did I do that? And I felt so terrible about it. And of course, Tanya, in her effort to comfort me, was elbowing me to no end. She was being she indulged in the fact that I had gotten her to watch the wrong movie. She was just enjoying it immensely. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'm just going to watch the movie.
Because it's been
That's where he's wrong. That's where he's wrong. I did not enjoy it immensely.
No, I was like, I'm just going to sit here and enjoy the damn movie because
Yes.
I know I will.
I know, and it goes back to the thing. I don't understand the humor, and so therefore it's not funny to me. And
I'm like, there were scenes I'm laughing my ass off, and she's just sitting there. I'm like, oh crap.
But then goes to show it kind of plays into what would fly or not fly in today's standards.
Right.
How much of that Monty Python skits would be able to be on today's regular TV?
Oh God, no. It would be on one of the cable channels in the watershed after like 10 o'clock or so. But you can't even guarantee the kids are going to be in bed at that point.
Exactly.
Back to Mel Brooks, I don't think you could put Blazing Saddles in a theater nowadays.
You can only do it because it would be like a 20th or 30th anniversary of the release of the movie. You know,
I'm
it's been
saying
30 years,
yeah.
But that's the only way you'd be able to get it into a modern day theater because you have people who have a basis of understanding and know what's going on. But if he made that movie like last year and tried to put it out as a new release this year, it wouldn't. No, it would not.
And I can honestly tell you that's one I haven't seen.
Yeah.
I haven't seen. No, that's one I haven't seen.
Okay.
I'll have to. Do I have? No.
We know that one is actually on the streaming services.
Okay, is it?
Yes.
I'm kind of surprised, to be honest with you.
Because that was one that did come up on the screen, was Blazing Saddles.
You should have watched that one.
Yeah.
He was looking for the History of the World Part 1. He was on a mission.
Which is very funny.
I'm sorry, because when I saw Blazing Saddles, I could have sworn you said you had seen that one.
No, already. I haven't seen that one.
That's why I went looking for something else, because I thought you had already said that you had seen it.
I said I haven't. I said I've seen. They're like, how about this? I'm like, I've seen that one. And I've seen. I said this one. I go, I haven't seen Blazing Saddles, and it probably just translated to I've seen that. Okay. So.
He did a couple pretty good homages to other styles of movies, like Silent Movie. Have you guys seen Silent Movie yet?
I remember Silent Movie. I remember the sequence with Paul Newman.
Yeah, that's a really funny movie. But I wonder if you have to be a fan of Chaplin and Buster Keaton and the silent comedians to enjoy that. And then High Anxiety, which is a parody of Alfred Hitchcock movies, is really, really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we will definitely get our Mel Brooks movie festival going, and so
Yeah,
that we can
so
have a podcast talking about it. And I promise that I will make sure to pay attention that it's not a Monty Python movie.
but
And
but
actually,
but
oh, I'm sorry,
to
Tanya.
give Chris credit, while we were watching the movie the other night, all of a sudden he got to a part and his hand went flying in front of my eyes because I don't know what's coming. I don't know, like whatever. And it came flying in front of my eyes, and I'm just like, what? And he's like, nope, just don't move, whatever. And when I was telling Randy about it, he said, oh, was it this part? I'm like, no. I go, it was the restaurant part. He goes, oh, bring me a bucket, Gaston. Bring me a bucket. I'm like, he
Yeah.
knew. And I go, because had I seen, I was hearing bits and pieces of it, but had I seen it, Chris's living room floor probably would have had to be cleaned up too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am thankful in regards to that, because I am not good at messy stuff in regards to that. So no, not doing it.
You know, one thing we should maybe do when we get around to Mel Brooks movies is do not a book club where we compare and contrast the two versions of The Producers. The original with Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder, and then Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be a great one. Oh, I like that idea, because those were good movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I can honestly say I haven't seen either of them.
And I saw it on Broadway too.
Oh,
very cool.
With Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane.
Nice.
Wow.
I saw that show. That was the one show. That's when that show came out. That's when ticket prices on Broadway went over $100 for the first time.
Wow.
I bought my ticket at $96, and like the day after, because I bought it like the day before the show opened, the day after the prices went over $100. So there's a little Broadway history for you.
So that was the Michael Jackson victory tour of Broadway. Yeah. Or the Eagles Hell Freezes Over of Broadway.
Pretty much, yeah, because that's the one I remember that, because I was like, but after that, prices have skyrocketed since then. So if Broadway reopens, so
yeah,
well,
not till next June at least.
Yeah, everything will reopen eventually, but we just have to be, it all has to make sense. That's the thing. It has to make sense. It has to be safe. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So, but everything will come back. There's always theater. There's always art.
Yeah.
So did we ever talk about TV shows today? I forget.
We did. We did talk about. We touched on the topic. I think we made some valid and salient points. And as always, our listeners are always encouraged to jump in on the conversation. Send us a text, send us a tweet, send us a whatever, and we can talk a little bit more about some random things after the break.
I would have been out here a little bit sooner, but they gave me the wrong dressing room, and I couldn't find any place to put my stuff. And I don't know how you are, but I need a place to put my stuff. So that's what I've been doing back there, just trying to find a place for my stuff. You know how important that is. That's the whole meaning of life, isn't it? Trying to find a place for your stuff. That's all your house is. Your house is just a place for your stuff. If you didn't have so much goddamn stuff, you wouldn't need a house. You could just walk around all the time. That's all your house is. It's a pile of stuff with a cover on it. You see that when you take off on an airplane and you look down and you see everybody's got a little pile of stuff. Everybody's got their own pile of stuff. And when you leave your stuff, you got to lock it up. Wouldn't want somebody to come by and take some of your stuff. They always take the good stuff. They don't bother with that crap you're saving. Ain't nobody interested in your 4th grade arithmetic papers. They're looking for the good stuff. That's all your house is. It's a place to keep your stuff while you go out and get more stuff. Now, sometimes you've got to move. You got to get a bigger house. Why? Too much stuff. You've got to move all your stuff. And maybe put some of your stuff in storage. Now imagine that. There's a whole industry based on keeping an eye on your stuff.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes, and all friendly points in between. I hope you guys are having a great week so far, having some fun listening to us being idiots, as usual. And now it's time for Dan's question of the week. Should put some reverb on that.
Week.
Dan's question of the week.
Week.
Now it's the Dan question of the week.
Yeah, well, it's your
It's
list.
you've got the list.
So it's just might as well make it official. It's your list. So.
Okay.
All right, let's have it. Who needs to pick a number? Susan picked the number last week. I can't remember who did it before that. So Tanya, go ahead. Pick a number between 1 and 381.
299.
Ooh, a high number. Let's see.
I was going to go 381, but
Yeah.
299. What are some fun ways to answer everyday questions like "How's it going?" or "What do you do?"
What are fun ways to answer everyday questions?
Like "How's it going?" or "What do you do?"
Well, George Carlin had a little routine about that once, I remember. And it's like, he goes, I like to throw people off, change things up. How are you doing today? I'm moderately neato.
Oh, let's.
was that Susan?
No, yeah. What was that? I heard a voice too.
I think it was Susan.
No, Susan's not here.
It was on your end. It sounded like Susan.
It's a ghost in the machine.
She's haunting you.
I don't know.
He's always with you.
No, like if the students or whatever, if someone says, "Oh, what's up?"
Dan will say
down. The opposite of down.
Or I'll say the sky, the clouds, the whatever, the sun, and they're like they roll their eyes at me, type thing. Because I usually have some type of comeback in regards to that. Or if they say, "Oh, I'm hungry," I'm like, "Hi, hungry. It's nice to meet you. I'm Mrs. Mattress," type thing.
Classic dad joke action there.
Yes, and so
You just reminded me of one that I stole from the Little Rascals years ago, and I still use it all the time. Is this when you answer the phone and someone says, "Who is this?" I always say, "I don't know. I can't see you." I used to do that at the radio station all the time. If I'd answer them, "Who is this?" I don't know. I can't see you.
I don't know. That's phenomenal.
That's funny. So yeah.
I know I will use from time to time more often than not these days. Somebody will say, how you doing? I'm hanging in there with both hands, sometimes teeth.
Yeah. I have a tendency to get a text message like that randomly every so often from you when I check in.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not as quick on the comebacks in regards to.
Yeah, that takes a certain level of fearlessness, I've noticed, because there are times where I will say things in response to people's questions and I don't even realize what I'm saying until it's far too late.
You have your canned number of answers there and just respond with one. And
right. You have, for instance, a couple of years ago, I was doing an inspection for a landlord who was always very aggravating, and true to form, he's debating and arguing the point, and I'm just trying to very calmly state my case over and over again, just being consistent. But it was also at the time of the air show, and so all of a sudden I make a point, and timing was perfect. The Thunderbirds go roaring overhead, and he looks up. He goes, "What the hell was that?" I go, "That's my air support." Now, as I was saying, it didn't even bat an eyelash. And then after the fact, I'm like, wow, it was really clever that I said that. It's a matter of just being fearless to a certain. It's timing, right? It's just understanding the moment and kind of like just throwing something out there. I've had some off-color ones that I will not share, but some, not all, some. Anyway, but I'm just saying. So that's a thing. So do we have any more entertaining responses to that particular question?
No, it's always hard to come up with those on the cuff there.
It almost has to be like in a real world. Like now we can't think of them. It's just something that's automatically programmed into us that when we're asked certain things or certain things are said to us.
Hey, Dan, how you feeling?
I'm feeling with the nerve endings of my fingers.
It took him a minute.
Yeah. Well, it's usually because when I would ask him that, it's all with my hands.
Yeah.
Dan, really, he is the one, because of his literal sense of humor, he's the one who's probably best suited for this particular question, because he's had some responses over the years that just, I stop and I stare at him, and it's like, really? Really?
But it's in the moment usually.
Yeah, it's got to
always in
be.
the moment. You
It's
just can't
got
make
to
him
be in the
handle it.
moment, or if you're texting somebody or whatever, depending on what you say, you'll get a smart ass comment back, and you like roll your eyes because that's not how the discussion had
That
started.
was not how that was supposed to go.
Yes.
Yes.
I have several friends that have a tendency to do that when I make a statement, and they just come back with something so obscure that makes me roll my eyes.
Yeah.
I might not be throwing Chris under the bus.
This is better than the episode for it. I have a sneaking suspicion that there's going to come a day where basically the entire episode is going to be a roast of Chris Frank.
Isn't that our normal episodes?
No, it's usually we have other topics that we can get into, and I can usually deflect away, from that. But I'm having a feeling that one of these days we're just going to start doing celebrity roasts of the FC3 cast.
So on November 1st, we will start with Dan.
Yes.
On November 1st. Why'd you pick that day?
Maybe because it's your birthday.
Happy birthday to Dan.
Don't start it early.
He lives in a van. Anyway.
Oh, down by the river.
All right, so that sounds like essentially we've got ourselves a rapperoo at this point, my friends and family.
So no comic chicks this week.
So no comic chicks this week. Okay, cool. And this week's podcast is all about television, from what I'm told. But anyway, so hey Dan.
Hey Chris.
Hey Dan.
Hey Chris.
I don't know if this is all about television or not, Chris.
Yeah, I know, that's a thing. Anyway, so hit it. Because this has been Monkey Business, a product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of the Flower City Comic Con. Coming at you in April of 2021, and you know what? Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us wherever we go. We will lead you to where the entertainment is. You guys have a great week, have a safe week, and we will talk to you again next week.
Dun dun.
Boom, boom.
I almost forgot.